Anyway, I said I would upload a video as to that Daniel Robertson could be the victim of foul play, but it's highly remote. Uh, the father, David Robertson, has been took in. Now, within an hour, he turned it whites hate the blacks, that the police are not doing enough because he was black. He was a pretty white girl. And yet they appeared up there before dusk and did a lot of stuff. But this terribly, terribly racist interview, that it's 3 black people. Well, if 3 white people were there, there'd be a protest. It would be took down from YouTube. It's white people. It's white people. But no, they do this horrifying racist interview in which people are trying to go up there and find him, and they're getting no help. Getting no help.
Mind you, we make up 13% of the population, and that's people of color. And so, not that whole 37% is.
This is not Gabby Petito. There's no relationship to it. Gabby Petito, sure, she was a good-looking white girl, but they were uploading videos, everybody was following, and stuff like that. So this garbage that if they're black or they're Indian, nobody gives a shit, is pure bullshit. The father would not even buy a can of pop for a desert searcher that wants to go up there searching. He only does photo ops and a social get-together even months later. Now, if it's the first few days, that would be different. But even months later, he just goes back for photo ops with the news of black versus white, white versus black, cops are evil.
It's black. But the reality is, it is a significant issue. In 2020, 2002, 899 persons of color were reported missing. Of that group, 145,467 were under the age of 18. Yet, if you are black and you come up missing, you can forget about it. But if you are white, especially
what a bunch of shit.
A white woman, oh my goodness, you can get blanket wall-to-wall coverage. According to the
a lot of white prostitutes, whatever, that are maybe good looking, whatever, that if people look at the case, and it was lifestyle, you know, the entire world does not get that deeply into it. It could be lifestyle or whatever. But no, they want to make it out that nobody gives a damn about the missing Native Americans or black women.
Black and Missing Foundation, there are 3 main reasons for the disparity in media coverage. Runaways. A lot of minority children are initially classified as runaways, so there's no Amber Alert. For missing minority, black and other minority adults, it is believed they have some association with criminal involvement, gangs, and drugs. Lastly, America is simply desensitized. They think missing blacks and other minorities live in impoverished conditions and crime is just a regular part of their lives. These reasons force families to do everything they can to get the word out about their missing.
Part of that is true. What he said, part of that is true.
Sons and daughters. Daniel Robinson hasn't not been seen since June 23rd. The geologist went missing after leaving a work site in the desert in his Jeep Renegade. His father, David, and the co-founder of Black and Missing Foundation, Derrick Wilson, join us right now. Glad to have both of you. It is always difficult when we have to report the story of someone whose body has been.
Okay, the father's great. Father's great. But he brought up from Georgia his anti-white, hate the cops. They weren't doing enough. But they did go out there, did what they could, and he ignored them, what they were saying. He ignored them, and then a month later goes, oh, they're not doing nothing. Okay, they have a tip line. He could call in his tip. Well, what is it? He has no tip. Only to protest in front of the cops that they're not doing enough because the guy was black. This person here is exceptionally virulent and racist. That if you watch this whole thing, it's called Vanished into the Desert, Dad of Daniel Robinson, who is being played and milked, speaks out. very, very anti-white, racist bullshit.
Found Derica. That is the case for Jelani Day. His mother obviously was shocked to get the news today, processing that death. But this is part of the problem. When black folks come up missing and you don't get it out early on, then it typically leads to these type of endings.
Absolutely. It seems like there's just no sense of urgency when it comes to our cases.
What a bunch of crap. Some of what she says may be true. Suppose a black prostitute or whatever. Some of what she says is true, but this isn't it. The police went out there before dusk and did a search, did multiple searches, came up with information that he was being strange, whatever. The guy walked out into the desert, said he was going to go join a monastery, and yet this person, of the three, this person is the worst as far as whites hate the blacks. Black girl goes missing, we don't give a shit. No, we're trying to go down there and find the person, and yet the father would not even so much as give a can of pop to any of the people that are trying to go down there.
You know, I want to say my heart goes out to Jelani Day's family, and I'm happy that Daniel's father is on this show. We've been highlighting those cases. You know, we can roll off our tongues the name Natalie Holloway, Chandra Levy, Casey Anthony, Lacey Peterson, Elizabeth Smart, but can anyone name one missing black or brown person, just one, who went missing in this country and received mainstream media?
And one that led to movies and miniseries and docu-series and on and on and on.
It depends on what the situation is. Depends on what the situation is.
Absolutely. It is so sad. It's so unfortunate. You know, we're not trying to dishonor any of those communities. We're trying to even the playing field. You know, families such as Daniel Robinson, Deidre Reed, Akia Eggleston, Keosha Jacobs, those families deserve answers. They deserve the same amount of resource that was applied to Gabby's case. You know, we understand that not all.
What a bunch of crap. There's no relationship. Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie, we had videos being uploaded constantly of their trip, them fighting while Gabby beat on Brian, and then she turns up missing. We know who the killer was. Stuff was being uploaded constantly. They go down to the house, step outside of the house and film it for weeks on end. It's different. This is totally different. It's not, well, Daniel Robinson, well, he's not a pretty white girl. No, it's bullshit. You're being fed a bunch of bullshit. This is anti-white racism by...
All cases are going to bubble up to that mainstream media, but less is more. Less of one particular race and more of everyone that's missing, it greater the chances of a reunion. These families are hurt. I know Mr. Robinson, he's hurt right now.
Mr. Robinson, I want to go to you now.
Okay, now let's look at Father Robinson.
Of your son.
Okay, he's great. Okay, the guy served in Afghanistan. He's down there searching for his son. He wouldn't be down there if the son didn't come up missing. So you can't, there's nothing to hold against this guy. But he shows up and in 5 hours, the cops are a bunch of racist black haters. They won't do enough. They won't do enough. Even though they raced out there, which with Gabby or the others, the standard procedure is 72 hours. But they raced out before dusk, did a search, did what they could do, and yet those cops, it's a bunch of black-hating racists. He deserves to give an apology to the Buckeye Police Department, is what they deserve. That in 2 or 3 hours they're a bunch of black-hating racists. They won't do nothing. Okay, there's a tip line for Buckeye Police Department. What is his tip? What is his tip? Only to organize protests in front of the police department. You're not doing enough. Okay, if he's got information, well, he was killed by these black haters, well, then just call in the tip. Let's get on it. Let's get on it. But no. So these people have hijacked this person for their racist bullshit.
He was working? Was he working with other colleagues? Can you hear?
I can hear you now.
Yes, go ahead. Give us the backstory of what happened with your son. He was working. Was he working with other colleagues? Did he leave alone or with colleagues? What happened?
Well, my son, he works for a company called Matrix New World.
Okay, now here's the facts. That he was working for the company to do water samples at the well site. Okay, the co-worker immediately reported that he seemed like he was strange, looking out in the desert on drugs. I looked into his eyes, but his pupils did not seem dilated, but he was staring out into the desert and was unresponsive. Okay, he contacts the other co-worker, and they come out, do a search. What happened? Did he take off? What was wrong with him? And in a few hours, Buckeye Police was right there in a few hours. If that was a pretty white girl, they would have done no such thing. They would have quoted the law to them that we don't do nothing for 72 hours, but he could be out on a bender with a new love, whatever.
Daniel, he's a field geologist for that company, and what he do is he visit.
Okay, first of all, okay, we said the desert.
As he pauses in his talk, which he's relatively truthful, these people jump in and spin it off that whites hate the blacks, blacks hate the whites, and a bunch of bullshit. The biggest racist goddamn thing I've ever seen. When people want to go out there and find a guy, he's missing his right arm, right hand, and they want to go out there and find a guy, but this guy now is starstruck. Starstruck. Now it's big. Now it's turned into Gabby Petito. Well, he wasn't Gabby Petito, so therefore nobody gives a shit. Bullshit. Total bullshit.
What state, what city, where was this?
He doesn't even know where it was, nor does she. Neither of them know nothing about the case. And yet she immediately, this one especially, paints it as white versus black, a racism. Well, it's racism, black versus white. That is exactly what it is, and that's what this is. Look at the video. Roland S. Martin. If a white person uploaded this video, the 3 white people, it'd be took down as racist.
It's in Buckeye, Arizona. It's outside of Phoenix. It's on the west side of Phoenix.
All right, so he leaves the site, comes up missing. When did the company notify you or someone that he was missing?
Well, it's roughly around 5 o'clock. I live.
Okay, he says it was 5 o'clock within hours. But they have to spin a bunch of bullshit into it.
In Columbia, South Carolina. My daughter, she's also here in Phoenix. She's been living here, out here with my son out here also. And she alerted me, it had to be around 5 o'clock, here in Phoenix.
Co-workers alerted them, and even before dusk, even though he was last seen by the guy on the road in Wagner Wash at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and before dusk, everyone goes racing. Everyone goes racing. It's race. You bet they raced. And that's what this is. This here is racist bullshit.
And back home in South Carolina, she called me there and alerted me that the job, one of the workers from the job came to her house searching for him, looking for him.
The worker from the job went to the house, and yet later,
Okay, so
this person
he
here,
came to the.
says, well, you say he worked for this company and they did nothing. They did nothing. They worked for this company and they did nothing. I mean, bullshit. Flat out bullshit.
So, looking for him. Okay, so what did the company then do? When were police notified? What was his car found? Was items found? Was it in tracking of his phone? Anything?
No. In fact, I called the police department. My son was living in Tempe at the time. They told me I needed to talk to Buckeye Police Department because that's the last place he was seen. They had me wait 12 hours before I could put in a missing person report.
Dear God, he had to wait 2.5 hours.
And since then, the job, like I said, yes, of course, no, the job have not did anything other than alerted my daughter that he left the job site.
Hold on. Your son was working for the company.
Yes, he's on duty. That's correct.
The company did not initiate some type of some type of search. They did. They so what did the company do? Just, hey.
Look at how this guy homes in. Well, the company reported it to goddamn everybody. And yet now he's trying to blame it on the company where Daniel shows up on drugs and took off early. They alerted everyone. But what are they, the FBI? But look at how they play this. Look at how they play this.
Hey, your brother's missing. Let us know if you hear from him. That was it?
That was it.
How many black people work for this?
Well, correct. He's saying that was it. Correct. This guy is saying correctly the information. That was it. Their job was done. They alerted everyone. The cops come racing. And yet, these people here, well, now it's black versus white, white versus black. Well, why did that company not do more? I mean, this is pure, this is the most racist thing I've ever seen. This should be took down from YouTube.
This company.
Well, my son, what I understand, I believe he is the only one. You don't find too many geologists out.
Okay, now he goes on to speak. The person on the left, the black woman, goes, well, how many black people are of that company? Well, the father goes on to explain he was new in the field and he was the only one in that area. But the black woman on the left tries to paint it out, what a bunch of KKK plantation owning nuts up there.
Out there, he's in that sense a minority when it comes to that field. I'm proud of him. He's something he wanted to do, when he came out of high school. So he landed his first job out here, and I was proud of him for that fact.
Okay, great.
So, all right. So he comes up.
Now look at how they spin it.
Missing. Was in the first 48, 72 hours. First of all, you had to wait 12 hours. I get that. Was any search conducted? Any aerial search? Was there any retracing of the steps? What has his vehicle been found?
No, not at all. Not at all. The first search.
Bullshit. They were out there before dusk.
Was 3 days afterwards. I asked them for the search the next morning.
It took 3 days to search for him.
That's correct.
And who did that?
Bullshit. They went out before dusk. The guy is being played. The guy is being played by these people. They're homing in on a subject. Homing in on a subject. They went out before dusk and did search. The father does make mistakes, and he got into it and told a couple of lies. Yes, that's true.
That was, by the time they did that, I was almost a phoenix because the first day when they denied the search, I was already in my car on the way to find out what's going on at that point.
So, company has done nothing.
Company has done nothing. Even though they alerted all co-workers and the boss that he took off, seemed like he was on drugs. This, that, the other thing. Company has done nothing. Company has done nothing.
How long did they search for your son?
Well, from what I understand, the third day when they did that search probably lasted for a few hours. I think it was roughly 2 hours. From that point,
These evil white people and racist cops and search parties.
there was no more search until almost a month later, about probably like 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks later. They had a Civil Air Patrol because I requested that. The net search only came after the vehicle was found, and that was on July the 19th.
Correct. They did go out and fly to where the vehicle was and took pictures. Nobody knew where that goddamn vehicle was. It could have been 20 miles away.
Almost a month later, when my son went missing, a rancher found my son's vehicle in the ravine out there, about 2.5 miles away from where he went missing.
A rancher. Your son's vehicle.
Okay, now look at how they stop him. The father is trying to talk, but look at how they stop him to make it white versus black, black versus white, these evil cops that did not search because he was not Gabby Petito.
Vehicle was discovered how long after he came up missing?
It was on the 19th of July, almost a month, because my son went missing on June the 23rd, and almost a month later, on July the 19th, was when the rancher ran into my vehicle.
So your son came up missing June 23rd. His vehicle was found.
Okay, now he stops him. Let's see where we can go with this. It's a month later. They're right where they were searching, and they come up with a vehicle. It was out in the middle of goddamn no place. When they first started searching, they didn't know where the vehicle was.
In a ravine on July 29th. Were any personal effects found in there? Phone, anything?
Well, actually, it was July 19th.
He's asking him these questions, showing that neither he nor her have the slightest idea about the case. That's it. This is 22 minutes. I'm curious to see what it does when I try to upload it. Flat out, this is a racist interview by Roland S. Martin.